I think we can start. So first of all, I would like to thank you for joining today. We already have some participants here. The webinar will be recorded, and just for some instructions, we will have in the final of this section a QA session. So if you have any questions, please pose your questions on the chat, and we will have some minutes to answer to your questions, okay? So first of all, I'm Luisa Gonçalves. I'm from F6S, and F6S is one consortium partner of the AIPlan4EU. And today we are here to present you the project and also to inform you about our open call and to give you some tips and some very relevant information about this opportunity. So regarding our agenda, we'll have the presentation of the project, and it will be presented by Andrea, the project coordinator. And then we will advance to the open call presentation. Then I will give you some relevant details to apply and how can you participate of this initiative. And then, as I mentioned before, we'll have a QA session. So you will have the opportunity to answer to your questions, and then we finished, okay? So Andrea, I think the floor is yours. I will stop here my sharing.
Thank you so much, Luisa. Okay, can you see my screen? What is coming?
Yes.
Is it visible? Thank you so much.
Yes.
So, hello everyone, I'm Andrea Micheli. I am from Fondazione Bruno Kessler, that is a research institute in Italy. And I am the project coordinator of this European project called AIPlan4EU. The project is composed of these partners. So besides us and F6S that is managing the open calls, we have 7 research institutions, mostly involved with planning technologies, and several companies and SMEs that are focusing on some use cases of planning. And in this presentation, I'm gonna, let's say, introduce you to the different kind of use cases and also try to convey you what planning is and what we want to achieve within this project. Before delving into the planning itself, I wanted to spend a couple of words about this AI4EU initiative, in which the project is with which the project is very related. So AI4EU, or the European Platform for AI on Demand, is a European initiative. So it has been established by the European Commission. And is essentially a portal. It's completely free. You can go there and register. And the aim of this portal is to bring together people that are interested in AI. So both from, let's say, academia or people that is producing AI technology, but also AI technology consumers, so SMEs or companies that are interested in, getting the benefits of using AI technologies. The whole idea here is to try to, create some networking and accelerate the development of AI-based application. This is important because the project that we are in, so AIPlan4EU, is actually one initiative, again, funded by the European Union, trying to enrich and to, let's say, bring more and more technologies to this platform. And in particular, what we wanted to bring is called AI planning. I don't know how familiar you are with planning, but in a couple of words, planning is a decision-making technology. Okay, so the idea is that it's trying to automate or to optimize some kind of decisions in a known or partially known workflow. So let me jump to example applications. So for example, planning is used in robotics for, create some degree of autonomy to the system. So given a model, some description of what your robot is able to do and a description of what you want to achieve, the job of a planner is to automatically synthesize a way for your robot to achieve your goals. So it's a sort of automatic programming, if you want, or goal-oriented programming. Is essentially a piece of software that is synthesizing for you the commands to send to your robot. Or another example that is very relevant in some use cases is planning the activities in, for example, a factory or a warehouse. So you know what the different machines in your factory are able to do and how costly they are in terms of time or resources. And you want to understand how to use them properly or optimally in order to achieve some desired production or some goal that you have for your daily production. Or another example are in agriculture. So you know the different practices that you need to carry on in order for a particular crop to grow. And for example, you want to minimize the environmental impact, for example, minimize soil compaction or this kind of things. And we believe that planning, well, planning, first of all, is a technology that is, it's at the very core of AI, in meaning that is a very basic form of intelligence, right? So the capability of, in your mind, thinking about different possible futures and select the one that is, more convenient for you or that aligns well with your goal is a very, let's say, basic form of intelligence. And that's why it's called AI planning in general. And second, we think that having this kind of planning capabilities is a vital need for this ambition that is of AI4EU. So having AI without having planning is a little bit, limiting. AI is not only machine learning, it goes beyond that. And so the aim of the project is also to bring these capabilities and this technology to the platform. Now, we posed ourselves several ambitious innovation goals within the project. And in particular, we really want to make impact on practitioners and innovators. So we want to make planning relevant and usable to people that maybe are not too familiar with it, but they have some kind of decision-making problems. So we really want to make it accessible. Second, we realized that essentially, having a planner per se can be limited or can be not so useful, because in a real application, consider, for example, the flexible manufacturing case when you have your factory. I mean, having simply the capability of planning is not enough. You need to integrate planning with the other ICT systems already in place or that you are gonna put in the future in your factory. So for example, if you already have some kind of warehouse management systems or manufacturing execution environments, or you have an ICT system that is keeping track of the orders that are coming from the commercial department, you want the possibility of integrating this data, these technologies with planning capabilities. And so within the project, we aim to develop a number of connection between existing and state-of-the-art ICT technologies in different use cases. Third one is making planning relevant in diverse application sectors. So we really want, so historically, planning has been focused mostly on robotics and, for example, logistics applications, but its capabilities go well beyond that. And so we wanted to diversify as much as possible the application sector, for example, agriculture, flexible manufacturing, and go beyond essentially what is the normal use of planning, I will say. Fourth is to integrate planning within this AI4EU platform. I will spend some words later also on this point, but the idea there is that we have this platform that is collecting people interested in AI, so that potentially have the need or might have the need of using planning and they don't know it. What we want to do is to use this AI4EU platform as a sort of a showcase of what planning can do in different use cases and allow people to actually experiment with it. So we will develop some software that allows you to play with planning. So test before you buy, essentially. So see what planning can do for your application before actually committing to use that specific technology or investing in a costly research project or in a costly development project centered around planning. Then there is also the problem of facilitating the learning of planning. So planning is is known to a restrict number of people that studied AI or that is working on or are working on a research center, but we would like to make it more available, and therefore we also need some learning materials, some learning capabilities, also exploiting the AI4EU platform that has a dedicated section for education and learning, for making planning more widely known and more usable. And finally, standardize and drive academic research towards application. So there are different groups in Europe and worldwide that are working on this technology, but most of them are either focused on very specific applications. For example, the space domain has been traditionally one of the domains in which planning has been applied, but few researchers are actually into the problem of applying to everyday application, or to more, let's say, down-to-earth application, the capabilities of planning. Now, this is the overall project vision that we have. Let me unpack this picture for you. So what we have right now available on the market or on the internet as open source is a set of planning engines that are represented as these orange boxes down here. The problem there is that they are very, let's say, scattered. They don't have a common interface. In order to use one of them, you really need to know the specific characteristic of that engine. And again, switching from one engine to another can be very costly in terms of software development, and also the learning curve is a little bit steep. What we would like to do is to construct this green box here. So a sort of box that abstracts away the details of the specific planners and allow you to use planning technology in a convenient way. And then the green box is actually taking care of all the rewritings or all the adjustments needed to invoke one specific engine or another. In addition, inside that green box, there will be the intelligence for selecting the most appropriate one given a certain problem. So if you have a logistics problem, the unified planning framework will recognize it and use a planner that is maybe stronger for logistics problem with respect to another one that is maybe stronger for robotics or what else. Now, on top of this unified planning view, this unified API, we need the possibility of interfacing with different ICT technologies. So, for example, if we are in the domain of logistics, then you need to interface with the warehouse management systems. And so you need a way of translating concepts like pallets, shelves, goods that are around, forklifts, and so on, into planning objects, so things on which a planner can reason on, and then translate back the solutions from planning into decision or logistics schedules that you want to apply in your application. And similarly for other technologies. So if you are doing flexible manufacturing, another technology is relevant. If you are doing robotics, another one is relevant. So for each of the technologies in different use cases that we will consider during the project, what we need to understand is which technology is relevant for this use case and how can we interface this technology. So which are the queries, which are the planning capabilities that we want to expose or that we need to expose from the unified planning framework, so the green box, to that technology in order to make it relevant for the application. And this will actually construct a number of proof of concept, a number of demonstrators in the form of use cases that we would like to make available to some extent on the AI4EU platform. The idea being, if you are, for example, a company and you are interested in flexible manufacturing, maybe you can go to AI4EU. You can see that other companies have been using planning for tackling that specific problem, and you can take inspiration out of them, or contact the company or the integrator that work with that company in order to hire it and make the same project work for you, right? Something like that. And in addition, we would like to put also training materials on AI4EU, again, to make planning as widely available and known as possible. That's the goal of the project. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but the integration that we want to do with the AI4EU is essentially twofold. On one side, we will exploit the visibility, the existence of this European portal for showcase, essentially, planning applications and allow the experimentation, so test before you buy, of planning technology. On the other hand, the resources of the project, everything that is publicly available, will be also made available through the AI4EU platform in order to enrich its catalog. So essentially in AI4EU, you have a catalog of artificial intelligence resources, and planning being an artificial intelligence technique, we will essentially enrich the catalog of AI4EU. And in addition, we will exploit the education section. So there is a dedicated section in the portal concerning training and education. And there we have this idea of creating this planning cookbook. So sort of a set of recipes that are developed by taking into account the experience that we have within the project on the different use cases, in order to explain, you know, if you have a problem that resembles this one or that has this characteristic, then you are better off using this technique instead of this other. So this is the idea. Now, I want to focus a little bit more on what we mean by use case and what are the use cases that we have in the project. So in this picture, you can see in random order around the circle, the different use cases that we have from partners within the project. So we have a partner that is working starting from here, so in agriculture, and they are interested in the reduction of soil compaction. So you know what you have to do in order to grow a certain crop, but you have some flexibility of scheduling different trucks or using different machineries, and you want to drive them into some areas in order to compact the soil the least possible, in the least possible way, essentially. Then we have logistics automation. So it's a company working in robotics, and their problem there is autonomy. So they want to make their logistics robot more resilient to faults and more resilient to, let's say, contingent problem that can encounter during the execution. Then subsea robotics, essentially there is this company that is developing these underwater vehicles for surveillance, essentially for surveillance of underwater structures like petrol extraction or oil extraction structures, essentially. And there again, the problem is autonomy. So how to make the decision for an underwater vehicle to be autonomous, because underwater you don't have GPS, you don't have, let's say, 4G connection, and therefore there are a number of problems. It's like being, let's say, on another planet to some extent. So you really need to, you are on your own essentially when you are detached from the base. Then we have this problem of lab planning. So there is this company that is working on consumer goods, and what they're doing is experimenting with their good before selling it. And in order to make this lab experiment as efficient as possible, they have a number of constraints, and they want to find a way of optimizing the time to market and reduce the cost of their experimentation. We have also human-robot interaction. We also have human-robot interaction as a problem. So how to make the robotic infrastructure more aware of what the human is doing, and how to make it more useful for human beings. So and there the capability of taking decision, having in mind a goal instead of knowing a set of operation to be carried on, is crucial, and that's why planning is central in that application. Then we have fleet planning. So you have a number of agents in the, for example, autonomous vehicles, and you want to organize them in a way that they cooperate in order to achieve a certain goal. That is also an area in which planning can help and taking decision. And then I also cited before flexible manufacturing. So organizing the activities inside the factory, reacting proactively to new goals or new production objectives that can come around. And so those are the use cases that we have within the project. So we have partners representing each of these area, and in each of these area, we are narrowing down a very specific planning problem that we want to solve within the project. More in general, let's say, I will say that planning is a decision-making technology, and what this means is that it's a technology suitable for automating decision. So if you want to essentially to demand some decision to a machine, or you want to optimize decision, maybe you know how to take the decision, but you are not sure whether they are good or not. And so maybe you want to use the machine to inform you or help you in taking good decision. And if you want to develop a use case, then the key question is, what is the decision or the decisions that need automation or optimality. So if in your business there will be some workflow or some let's say way of operating, and there are going to be some decision points. So maybe some of them or all of them, maybe you want to have them optimized or automated. That's where maybe we can focus on and try to help with planning. Then the second key question is, what is the data that is available for taking the decision, and what is the data needed for taking the decision? Maybe there are some data that is in the mind of a human operator that needs to be elicited, or maybe you have some real-time data that arrives through an ICT system that is informing the decision for the next hours of production, for example. This is the case of logistics. And a sub-question here is if there is some constant characteristics versus contingent events. So if you take, for example, the idea of a factory, then constant characteristics are what a certain machine can do. This is not going to change too much from time to time, while instead a contingent event could be a new order arriving, right? So you need to react to contingent event, and you can exploit the knowledge on constant characteristic of your environment. And that's how you reason in order to take good decisions in a certain environment. And then finally, another attention point is when and how often the decision is being taken. So do you need a plan to be generated in the morning that is valid for the entire day, like schedule the operation activity for the entire day, or is very reactive? So for example, in a robot, maybe you want to only decide 2 or 3 minutes down the line because you have a continuous planning problem in which you continuously react to what your environment is doing. So these are the key questions. I don't know how much time do I still have, Luisa? I have a couple of examples if you want.
Yes, you have some minutes, 2 more minutes, okay. Maybe.
Perfect. Okay. So I can give you more detailed examples then. For example, Meritor is a partner of the project, and they're working in building this thing. So those are basically the axles of a truck. And the problem there is that, well, they have like hundreds of components inside. Some of them are being taken off the shelf, so they buy it from external suppliers. Some others instead are machined and created, let's say, inside their factory, and they need to combine the logistics, the inbound logistics of their factory with the internal operations in order to have the exact, let's say, pieces they need for assembly, and to have them at the right moment of time, to limit the amount of pieces that you need to store in the shelves, and to actually have the capability of serving a different number of clients. So maybe you don't have to produce like hundreds and hundreds of the same piece, but actually you need to create some pieces of one kind, some pieces of another kind. And so that you have all these activities happening inside the factory, and you need essentially to solve the puzzle of when to do what in order to make everything work smoothly, right? And have the right piece at the right time at the right station. And so this is the kind of planning problem that they are bringing to the project. Another quick example is this one. So this is the robot that Magazzino is a German startup. They are building this kind of robots for logistics. So for example, you can imagine it working at Amazon or your favorite e-commerce, let's say, warehouse. And what they're doing is essentially moving goods around. So given some order that comes from the e-commerce website, they will automatically go and pick the order and bring it, for example, to an operator creating the packages. The problem there is it's working very well. It's very, let's say, convenient in terms of both efficiency, so timing, but also in terms of business, so that they are relatively cheap with respect to, for example, dealing with the operation manually. The problem is resilience. So the fact that if suddenly something breaks down, or if the robot perceives some kind of obstacle, they have limited autonomy to actually carry on and continue the operation. So their planning will be used to try to create a more, let's say, refined intelligence, more refined capabilities for the robot to react to unexpected situations. Okay, and finally, this is, let's say, my call for action. So we are looking for interesting use cases in the project, and that's why Luisa is going to talk about the open call opportunities that we have. In particular, we are interested in interesting or challenging ways of using this decision-making, this AI planning technology in practice. And this can be both in known, let's say, even if in an application domain that we already cover within the project, that could be also interesting. Or if you have a new application domain, so something that we haven't thought of or that we don't have a representative for. The idea being that the kind of tools and the kind of technology that we will deliver with this project, we want them to be as general, as useful as possible. So the more use cases and the more different application domains we can cover, the better, because we will have a representative of different areas. And again, the key hope and the key dream of the project is to show the world that AI planning is indeed capable of solving real world problems, and we can actually prove this one via the use case. So that's what I have, and I'm looking forward to hearing your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrea. So I will share my screen here to present the open call. So let's advance with this session, and I'm going to give you some details about the open call opportunity. So first of all, I'd like to give you a general view of the open calls that will be launched in the overall project. We started here with the open call for use case that Andrea has mentioned. So this open call will intend to connect the key stakeholders from different sectors that could help us to innovate in the AI planning context. So there is an open call running, it's open, and the deadline will be next week. So I will come back to this point later. And we will have 3 open calls that intend to attract use cases. The other open call is the open call innovators, in which we'll have the use case owner will have the opportunity to implement the use case. So we will select some use cases during this first set of open calls. It will be 5 use cases in each open call, and then they will have the chance to implement this use case. So it aims to engage different SMEs to develop the new valuable planners and design and to fund a small consortium of 2 entities that involve the use case owner and the developer. And the funding will be higher in this second open call. So this open call for innovators will start until this year, in the end of this year, and it will continue until next year. So just a very quick view of the budget that will be offered during these open calls. In this first open call use case, you have to present your use case. The budget is 1,500 euros. We will select 5 projects in this phase, but the applicant will have the chance to apply to the second open call for innovators. And in the second open call, of course, some more implementations will come together to the architecture of the AI plan for you, and they will have the chance to make some more money here. And the budget is about 30,000 euros. So here I'm going to give you some more specific some more specific view of the open call journey that, of course, you should first start by applying this open call, and then applying to the open call, and then your use case will be evaluated. And then later on, you will have some more activities that I will explain you point by point since the beginning. So let's start here that what you should do before submitting, because it's very important to check what are the requirements and what are the criteria, if you are eligible or not, to not to waste some time doing something that can be not relevant for you. So before submitting, first I recommend that you go to the website, the project website, to understand more about the project context. For example, everything that Andrea explained here, you can find there. This kind of details about the project, about the use case, and about the consortia that are involved, are involved in this project. And then you should read the instructions. So on the website, you find a page here that apply now, this option, in this tab. And then you click here and you open the information about the open call. So you can find some very relevant information there, as some documents that details all the open call process. So you should start reading this, the Annex 1 and the Annex 2. The Annex 1 is the open call text that you can find a short introduction about the project, and the guide for applicants that you will find some eligibility criteria, some relevant details about the funding rules, and to check if your company or you as an individual fit to this opportunity. So, and also take into consideration that the duration of the program, if you are available to dedicate, for example, in this open call, you will dedicate 1 month to attend to workshops and webinars. So I recommend first check all this information before submitting. And if you check that you are eligible to apply to the use case, so you should, on that page, in that page, the open call page in the website, on the website, you should click in a button that is applied to AIPlan4EU at F6S, and then you'll be guided to the F6S platform to fill a form. This form is very simple, and you can see here a picture as an example of this form that you should fill out with your personal data, name and the contacts, and then you should detail a little bit your use case. So it's very important here that you upload your use case description. On the website, you will find, I will go a little bit, reward a little bit, because here you find the Annex 3, the use case template. So please download this document and then fill with the information of the use case, and then you will upload here in this option of the form. So, but in the form you find the instruction to do this, and you have some administrative documents to download and to upload. So it will be very important for you to upload this, because it guarantees that we'll have a very transparent and fair evaluation. For example, because if you upload some different documents or PDFs or a presentation in PPT, maybe the evaluators will not be fair in evaluating all the necessary information to approve you to participate in this project. So here you find some details, just an example of the template that is not, it's a higher level use case. So you have to describe the context in which your project should be applied, and some applications. And you have some questions that can make it easier, because you can answer to this question, and then you can write your text here. So it's not a very big document. You won't write so many things. You just have to take into consideration to describe the context, the planning application, the introductory example, the impact, and the measure of success, and some planning integration. So it will be a kind of description just for us to check if you have a mature plan, if you are in the early stages, if the potential of innovation, and what kind of impacts that it can have, the use case can have on the ecosystem of the project, and some exploitation envisioning. So then we move to the next step after this submission process, that you will go to the F6S platform and apply. We advance to the evaluation of the proposals. So the evaluations, this process is divided into 3 stages. We started here with remote evaluations, that we invite some external experts to evaluate your proposals. And then we move to online interviews that some consortium members would like to talk to you and to make some questions about your use case. And then a consensus board meeting will take place between the evaluators in order to get a final, to make a final decision. So advancing to in this process, you will sign a contract with the project coordinators, and it is a more legal phase of the project, that our administrative departments will check the documents and check, for example, if you are an SME, the proof of an SME, if you have VAT valid, and also will be the opportunity to take some information from you, for example, the bank account, in order to pay you later. So after the open call, now after this contract signed, you are part of the project. So you come on board. So this project, this phase will last only 1 month. And in this phase, you have the opportunity to attend 2 webinars that you be introduced to the project, the team, and the overall objectives of the projects and models. This is a very important phase, because you are, it's a welcome phase, and you will know different details about the projects, about the developments, and about the team that will be working with you. So you will participate in use case workshops to engage you and also to detail your use case. This process is will be very interesting, because you have the opportunity to present your use case, and also the coordinators and the consortium members that will guide you will have the opportunity to understand about this use case and help you to detail it more and make it more visual and understandable to the overall project objectives, and to be used in the developments of the future. So in the financial report, it will be a lump sum in a lump sum mode. So it means that you'll be paid in once. So during this period of 1 month, and the collected use case, and as I mentioned before, will have the chance to participate in the future of the project. So we will try to select according to the proposal, according to the objectives of the projects, and according to the developments. the project consortium will select some use cases that will take part of the future, and you can have the opportunity to see your use case implemented. So as a timeline, we have an open call launched in March. It was launched in March, and we will close the submissions next week on the 12th of May, and the results you will know. If you apply, you will know the results until the 11th June. And the use case workshops after all this legal phase of signing the contract will take place in early June and July. So if you are available during this period, I think it will be a very interesting opportunity. So here, just after so many information, just to wrap up, we have here, you can apply to the AI Plan4EU open call for use cases. We will select 5 use cases in this phase. Each will be funded with 1,500 euros. So to specify your use case, you have the opportunity to specify this through the workshops and the webinars, and you have some mentorship from our project consortium and the coordinators. And you can, if you have the chance, if we choose your use case to be part of the future, in the future open calls, you have the opportunity not only to participate in the implementation, but also help us to select this innovator and so you come on board, and of course you'll be funded for this phase 2 with more money this time. So the target applicants are single SMEs in this phase and individuals, natural persons. So if you are a company, a small company, or a professional or a person that would like to participate in the project, you can apply. As I mentioned before, the deadline is until next week on the 12th of May. And so don't miss out on this opportunity, because it will be very interesting to have you on board. And here I have some instructions just to highlight that I have mentioned before, to go to the website and try to read the opportunity, and not only about the open call, but about the project. And if you have questions, you can get in touch to find out more, and you can question things because we are here to help you and to support you in this process. So the email address is also here. So thank you very much. And here we move to the Q&A session. And I'm not sure if we have some questions here. Let me check. Marina, can you check if we have some questions?
Right now, we don't have any questions.
Okay.
But
okay.
We would like to encourage everyone to post them in the chat. We will answer.
Yes. So meanwhile, I have some questions here that some potential applicants sent me during this process. Maybe it will be useful for our participants. So the first question here is if the application can be submitted individually or by a consortium. So as I mentioned, during this phase, it's individually, and the consortium is not accepted in this call. But in the future, we'll have some more opportunity in the open call for innovators that more entities can apply. So maybe I have another question here. Maybe
I also, Luisa, if I may.
Okay.
This question that pops up a lot. Maybe you could clarify for everyone which are the countries that are eligible for this open call.
Okay, so the applicants that are legally established or resident in Europe. Member states, of course, from European Union. We have some overseas countries and associated countries of European Union with the Union that is identified in the guide for applicants can also apply. So mainly European and associated countries. I'm not sure if you have some other, Marina, because someone has asked me when will the final results be announced. As I mentioned there, up to 11th of June, we'll have the results, and the workshop and the webinars will take place in late June or in July.
Yes, I also have another one. People are also asking what type of support is available during this preparation phase.
Oh, this kind of support, you can get in touch with us through the email that you have here on the screen. And you can ask different things and how to apply and different details that we are available here to help you. But I kindly ask you not to do this in the last year of the open call, because we usually receive a lot of requests and maybe we won't have time to reply to everyone.
And finally, on my side, the other question I've seen a lot is what type of costs can be funded, can the funding cover, sorry.
Yeah, so it's a very interesting question, because that value of funding 1,500 euros, firstly was to cover personal costs like travel and different expenses. But as we are in a COVID-19 crisis, the events will take place online, but the value remains the same. The amount of money remains the same. Okay, so I have here one question, that how can we follow up the involvement of our use cases in the further activities open calls? This is also a very interesting questions, because as I mentioned, the use case winner in this open call will have the chance to be selected to participate in the future. So I recommend that you stay in tune in the social media and on the project website, just to follow up the different open calls that we intend to launch. And the project consortium will be in contact with you, just if you'll be selected and to participate in the future activities. So different analysis will take place after this, of course. And so don't be so anxious, because we will reach out to you in the certain time. Okay. So and I have here one last question for Andrea, and I think you have mentioned during the presentation, but maybe it's good to highlight that one applicant asked how my use case will be integrated to AIPlan4EU, to AI4EU platform.
Right. This is an excellent question, actually. So the idea there is to showcase the potential of planning to the broader community of AI enthusiasts and people that are interested in AI. So what we want to do is to take these use cases and first of all, describe them. So show how planning has been used, to what extent, and to take which kind of decision. So it's going to be a textual description mostly. And then possibly, meaning depending on the availability of data and the openness of data for replicating the experiment, we would like also to allow users of the platform to experiment with the planning problems emerged from one use case. So for example, if we are going to tackle a certain logistics problem as a use case of the project, maybe a scaled down version can be available as data and as code on the platform, so that somebody interested in a similar problem can actually play by his own, or maybe that company has his own research and development team, so it can take these ideas and try planning for their own. This is, of course, optional in the sense that if the data of the use case provider is covered by some kind of IPR or they are not publicly available, we can either anonymize it or completely, let's say, limit ourselves to the textual description. So we have a degree of flexibility there for what we're going to publish on the AI4EU platform. What we really want to do is to convince people that planning can be an impactful technology for real applications. So that's the key idea. And the AI4EU is actually a very let's say, large opportunity to showcase what you're doing in your company and how you can automate. So maybe people that are interested into what you are doing can actually reach you through your presence on AI4EU. So it's a win-win situation, in my opinion. So the AI4EU provides you a lot of opportunities in this respect.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. And just one last question that maybe I can answer this. It's about the funding. Are the selected projects given funding in advance? So as I mentioned before, maybe Andrea can confirm, because I followed the proposal. The AI plan funding scheme is based on the lump sum payment mode. So one payment of the total amount will be made. Okay. So if there are no more questions, I think we can finish here. Just check the chat. Okay. So I'd like to thank you for your participation, and don't forget that the open call is running, and the deadline is next week. So if you have a use case that you'd like to come on board in this initiative, you are welcome. And even if you have a more mature use case or a use case in early stages, so please fill the template. And there are some questions that can help you to think about your use case and then apply. And after this, you have some mentorship and some help to detail this use case. And maybe you have the chance to participate in the future of the project. So you will be welcome to come on board. So thank you very much. And I don't know if Andrea and Marina would like to add something.
No, I just want to encourage everybody to have a look again, as you said, on the website and on these opportunities. Personally, I think that it is actually quite a unique opportunity to exploit this kind of technology, because typically planning has been around for quite some time, but it has been used only by big companies that can afford user research and development costs. Space applications, for example, NASA, ESA, they have their own planning departments. But now we are trying to bring it to, let's say, to more common people, to more to a market that is, let's say, more everyday use. So I really encourage everybody that has, some ideas, even wild ideas, we really appreciate them, to apply and to let us know how you want to use planning. And thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a good day and a wonderful weekend. Thank you. Bye. Oh.